It's time for your Low Country real estate market update. It's the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show. Brian is one of the top 1% real estate agents in Charleston. Find him online at listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. Or call him at 843-345-1273. Now, broadcasting from the WTMA studios, here's your host, Brian Beatty.
Good morning, Charleston. This is the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show here on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA. Thanks for joining me this morning. I am your host, Brian Beatty, and what a year it has been. This is the second to last show that we will do in 2014, and here's what I have planned for this morning. Normally around this time of the month, the middle of the month, we get last month's official sales numbers. So I know that we're almost through with the year, but really we have now a good glimpse on what happened in November in our market. So I'm going to talk about just where we are as a market in general, give you guys an overview of where we are this year, where we were last year, how things have changed, what I think is going to happen next year. And I'll tell you, there is still a lot of activity in our market. So I want to talk with you about what excites me about our market this time of year. There's a lot going on, and I want to share that positive information. A little bit later on in the show, we'll talk about the homes that unfortunately did not sell this year. Maybe you've been on the market for 3 months, 6 months, maybe even a year, maybe even a few years, and your house hasn't sold. So we're going to talk a little bit about that process and what that looks like, and maybe answer some questions as to why your house hasn't sold. So all that and more this morning. Let me do a few housekeeping items first. I am in the studio this morning. If you'd like to call in, if you have any questions you'd like to ask me, my number in the studio here is 843-556-1250. 843-556-1250. I'll be here for the next hour. Would love to take your calls, answer your questions about anything real estate related. Now, if you want to contact me, if you're considering buying, selling, or investing in real estate, and you want to hire a real estate agent, I have been in the top 1% of agents on our market since 2009. That will be the way, that'll certainly be the case this year as well. We had a great year, very excited about it. Not officially done yet, but we have exceeded our goal for the year, which was 100 transactions, and can't be any happier with my team for being able to do that. So if you're considering buying, selling, or investing real estate, contact me directly by going to my website, listingsincharleston.com. And on that site, you can take a look at everything I have for sale. You can take a look at everything I've sold. You can look at how I market my properties for sale by clicking on the Sell Your Home tab, and you can learn more about my 59-day home sale guarantee. And essentially, what that means is that I will sell your home in less than 2 months, or I'll sell it for half my commission, 4.5% commission. So for more information on that, listingsincharleston.com, or call my cell phone, 843-345-1273. So let me give you an idea of what happened in our market in December, and I'm going to compare that to what it looked like November of last year. And I'm just going to kind of run down this list because I've got a lot of data to get through this morning, and I don't want it to be just me reading off a list. I'm going to offer some insight into some of these things, but I really want you guys to get a grasp on where we are as a market. I think we all know at this point that real estate is good in Charleston. It's good. People are happy about the fact that I can sit down at the table with them and talk about their house and talk about their neighborhood and share the good news that, hey, guess what? You have equity in your house. Here's how much your home is worth. And it be a surprise to them, but in a good way, not a bad way, like it's been for several years in the past, where we sit down and we say, hey, I'm sorry, but you actually owe more than your house is worth. Let's discuss what a short sale means. We are having very few of those conversations these days. Of course, there's always going to be an element to any market, and whether it's a buyer's market, normal market, seller's market, when it comes to distressed properties, they'll always be out there. But we have seen a significant reduction this year in distressed sales. They're harder to find, and it's good news for most people because, hey, now they have equity. Now, if they want to sell their house, they have the ability to pay commission, pay closing costs, and at least break even. But you need about 8% above what your house is worth in order to do that. So, or what the amount of your mortgage is, excuse me. So anyways, let's look at just listings in general. We all know that we've had this issue so far this year with inventory. lack of inventory. There's just less choice out there for buyers, so buyers are fighting over the really good properties. And if you're a seller, if you price your home well and your house is in good condition and you do some things to prepare your home for sale so that by the time it hits the market, it's ready to go, your house is going to sell. And so for the buyers that are out there that are looking for properties, even this time of year, there's just very little choice. Now, the interesting thing about this time of year, and people always ask me, hey, is this a good time of year to buy or sell a house? I think it is. If you're a buyer, think about it this way. Is a seller really going to keep their house on the market in the month of December when they have family in town, they have family obligations, it's the holidays? Are they going to deal with having people go through their house if they're not truly interested in selling it? The same holds true for a buyer. Most buyers don't go out and look at real estate in December and sacrifice time with family and friends and going to holiday parties and going holiday shopping, whatever the case might be. We don't find a lot of tire kickers this time of year. Time is a little more precious around the holidays. And so for those that have their home on the market and for those that are looking to buy, yes, there is a smaller quantity of them, but the quality is much higher. And we're going to talk a little bit later on in the show about what excites me so much about this time of year in our market. And it's been this way for the past several years. And so stick around because I'm going to share some insight into how to really be successful this time of year when it comes to buying and selling real estate. But as it relates to new listings are up about 10% if we look at November of last year. Now, overall, if we look at year-to-date numbers, they're up about 6%. But then if you look at closings are up almost 8%. So we had in 2013 year-to-date, we had about 12,000 homes that sold. This year, we've got about 13,000 homes that have sold. So we are certainly on pace to continue with that rate of growth in terms of sales. The inventory hasn't really caught up yet, and obviously new construction is working toward that. They expect to have about a 20% increase in closings next year in 2015, which will help the overall inventory, of course, as well. But let's talk for a second about negotiability. If we talk about the difference between the list price and the sales price on homes, obviously supply and demand it has to be taken into account. So if you look at the difference between what the house was listed for and ultimately what it's sold for, so far this year, the average across the Tri-County market is about 5% off. And the reason that number is important is because, let's say we go and we decide that we want to sell our house. Well, is it okay to maybe fluff up that price a little bit to try and get some negotiability room built in there? I think the answer is yes, within reason. Now, for the people that list their house 10, 20% or more above fair market value, I think you're doing more harm than good. But buyers also need to understand that there's going to be some built-in negotiability to just about every listing that's on the market, unless your agent does an analysis on that property and they say, hey, you know what? They're actually priced right where that house should be. It's a good deal. It will probably sell fast. And if the agents really know how to analyze the market, and that is true, then it will sell fast. That's been the case this year. It was the case last year. So you really need to do your research on individual properties to determine how well they are priced, because we can talk about averages in terms of this is how much it's listed above or below fair market value, but it's really property specific. So overall, market is doing very well. We're doing better than we did last year in terms of appreciation and sales and so on and so forth. What I will say, however, is that the rate by which we are growing, or the rate by which homes are appreciating in value, is starting to slow down in some of those hot areas of our Tri-County area. I was talking with John Quincy yesterday about what are some of the hot areas in Charleston right now, and we talked about downtown Charleston, kind of toward the crosstown, that big development at the corner of Spring Street and King Street. That area has just exploded. Same thing with some areas in downtown Charleston above the crosstown being Highway 17, of course. Then we talk about Mount Pleasant, and if you're looking for a house in Mount Pleasant, it seems like you're just in an extreme seller's market up to $1 million. It's just hard to find those good deals and Mount Pleasant. If you want a house on the water in Mount Pleasant under $1 million, good luck. They're tough to find. And that it holds true for many areas of Charleston in terms of how well we're doing and how competitive it is in those areas. And so let me talk with you for just a few minutes about what's going on county to county. And if you have questions, you want to call in, you want to know what's going on in our area, or if you just have real estate questions in general, give me a call, 843-556-1250. That's the number here in the studio. Happy to take your call. So let's talk about Berkeley County really quickly. If we look at single-family homes so far this year compared to the same amount of time last year, we've had about a 6% increase in the average sales price. Closings are up almost 20%, and inventory is up almost 15%. So there's just more activity in Berkeley County right now. We've seen about 500 more listings hit the market this year in Berkeley County than we did last year, but we've also had almost 400 more closings this year. So if you're going to plan on putting your house on the market in Berkeley County, plan on having it taking about 2 to 2.5 months to go under contract. That's about the average in Berkeley County right now. Now, if you look at Dorchester County for single-family homes, we've had about an 11% increase in closings. We've had, and again, there's not as many closings in Dorchester County as there will be, of course, in Charleston County, but we've had about 2,200 closings so far this year in Dorchester County. That's up from a little under 2,000 in 2013. And if you look at pricing is up again about 6%. If you plan on selling your house, almost the exact same numbers as Berkeley County, plan on it taking about 75 days. Now, Charleston County is where we have the majority of our sales. It's also where the largest variety in property type is. We've got everything from historic properties to waterfront, beachfront, more simple condos, first-time homebuyers. You've got the whole gamut in Charleston County. And if you look at our closings year to date, we've had almost 5,400 closings up to the December 1st. That is up from 5,100 closings. So not a huge increase in closings in Charleston County. But if you look at the average sales price is up almost 10%. So we've had another banner year in Charleston County, incredible growth, a lot going on. If you're planning on selling your house in Charleston County, taking into account, of course, the fact that we have everything from the $100,000 property to the $5 million property sell this year, on average, it's going to take about 2.5 months, same amount of time. So again, if you have specific questions about a pocket of our market, you want to know what your house is worth, you want to know what's going on in your neighborhood, you just have general questions, feel free to call into the studio, 843-556-1250. Or if you'd like to reach me personally and have a confidential discussion about your property, I can be reached by calling my cell phone, 843-345-1273, or by going to my website, listingsincharleston.com. When we come back, we're going to talk about what's so exciting about this time of year. I'm going to share a little insight into how I approach selling real estate in the latter months of the year. So stick around. This is the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show, heard here on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA.
Visit Brian Beatty's website at listingsincharleston.com. The Brian Beatty Real Estate Show continues next on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA. You're listening to the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com.
Welcome back, Charleston. This is the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show here on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA. Thanks again for tuning in. This is where we talk about all things real estate here in the Charleston area. And if this is your first time tuning in, I like to take a lot of national, regional, local news about real estate and then apply my experience and my insight to that information so that if you're considering buying, selling, or investing in real estate, you have some quality, reliable information to go off of so that you can make some informed and quality decisions about the real estate process, whether you want to buy, sell, or invest in it. So what I would say is that if you have any real estate related questions, you're looking at doing something in 2015 or between now and the end of the year for that matter, feel free to reach out to me personally. I'd love the opportunity to earn your business. I can be reached on my cell phone, 843-345-1273, or you can go to my website, listingsincharleston.com. And on that website, you can take a look at everything I have for sale, everything I've sold, read some testimonials from past clients. And if you're thinking about selling your house, click on that Sell Your Home tab. You can take a look at a partial view of my marketing plan, which we're going to talk about a little bit later on in this program. And then more importantly, if you're considering selling, you can learn more about my 59-day home sale guarantee, which states that I will sell your home in 2 months or less, or I will sell it for half my commission, 4.5% commission. So listingsincharleston.com is the website for that. Now, I'm also in the studio this morning taking phone calls, so if you have any real estate-related questions, feel free to give me a call. We'd love to hear your story, hear your experience, answer your questions. The number here, 843-556-1250, 843-556-1250. So when before we took a break, we were talking about what's going on in our market and how good and how strong of a market we are in right now. If we look at basically every category that we look at to measure the health of a real estate market, we're up in just about every single category. Things are looking good. And so people always ask me right around this time of year, because I work all the way up until that kind of mandatory 3 or 4 days off during Christmas. And they always ask me, Brian, how do you maintain your energy? What is it that's so exciting about real estate in December? And so I wanted to share some insight on that, because I've always had a great December in sales. I love selling real estate this time of year. And I think a big portion of the reason why is because of the timing. A lot of real estate agents, and I'll say in this market, but I'll also say in just about every market, depending upon the seasonality and where you're selling real estate, I would venture guess that just about every market in America has a really slow December among real estate agents. And I bet, you know that 90-10 rule where 10% of the people make 90% of the income. I bet you it's even more than that in the month of December, because frankly, most real estate agents kind of hang up their hat in December. They say, hey, you know what? I'm going to take some time off. There's really nothing going on anyways, so I'm not going to work very hard. I mean, I'll do the mandatory stuff, but I'm not going to come in and look for new business and so on and so forth. And I think it's such a huge mistake. This is when we build momentum for next year. And the same holds true for our clients. We have a lot of clients that want to sell their house, and they need to sell their house right now. But they're being told by real estate agents to wait till February, wait till March, wait till April. It'll be a better time to sell. Well, better, I think, is the word to focus on. Is it truly better to wait until February or March or April? Maybe not. It depends on your situation. What I've always found is that the people that are listing their house in December, especially the people that have taken the time to prepare their home for sale, get the benefit of limited competition. And we have all these homes that come off the market in November and December because the sellers don't want to deal with selling the property during the holidays. And at some point, it'll get put back on the market in January, February, or March, or whatever the case might be. But if you're a seller, you really do benefit from a lack of competition right now. There's not a lot out there. So if you're working with motivated buyers, any real estate agent that's listening right now will 100% agree with me that there is a lack of good inventory in December, because most of the good stuff was purchased late fall and early in October and parts of November. So what's left now are the properties that either just hit the market, and if they're priced well, they'll sell, or they're all the real estate that has been on the market for the past 3-6 months and hasn't sold. So I think that as far as timing is concerned, both from a seller standpoint and from a buyer standpoint, it's a great time of year. If you're a buyer and a seller has had their house on the market for 6 months and it hasn't sold, and they hear me say things like, hey, it's a fantastic market and properties are selling and we're up in every category in real estate, it can really be kind of deflating to some of the sellers that have had their house on the market and they've been trying to sell and it just hasn't happened for them. And so if you're a buyer, maybe that's a good time for you to make an offer on something and not necessarily take advantage, because I don't like the idea of taking advantage of people, but maybe it's a good opportunity to benefit from a seller that's had their house on the market for a long time and hasn't sold, and maybe they're willing to cut a little bit more off that price just to get the deal done. Because think about it, if all these real estate agents are saying, hey, why don't you just wait until April? Some sellers don't have the luxury of waiting until April. Maybe they're in some sort of financial situation and they need to sell their house. They're struggling. There are still plenty of people out there that are really struggling to make their mortgage payments. And if they have their house on the market right now, again, there's a reason. So I think timing is fantastic, both for buyers and sellers and realtors. Think about it this way, just I guess from a realtor's point of view. it's been such a great market this year that a bunch of real estate agents have decided to either get back into real estate or just try it out as a new career. And so with more real estate agents means less market share for the existing real estate agents. Obviously, the more real estate agents there are, it doesn't change the amount of people that buy and sell real estate. So it becomes harder for the people that are in the market and that have been in the market for years to maintain their market share. And we have all these new agents that are calling people like crazy this year to try and get them to sell a house or buy a house. And it leads to frustration at some point in time for the people that either don't want to sell their house or are thinking about selling their house, but they're getting bombarded by all these phone calls. That all kind of tends to slow down this time of year. So real estate is a lot about timing, being in the right place at the right time, being the buyer that does their due diligence, that watches the market, that sees that house hit the market, that's priced well, it's in condition, and boom, they make an offer, they get it written up, get the contract ratified, and they're off to the races. They found a great deal, and they did so in December because they were disciplined and they were vigilant and they watched the market. So from a timing standpoint, I think it's a great time of year. I love selling real estate this time of year, if you haven't guessed that already. I'll tell you something else that I really like and that I'm starting to see more of is that lenders are starting to loosen up their credit guidelines. And they have also announced the return of the 97% mortgage financing. You know, FHA financing is 3.5% down. And back in the heyday of real estate when, credit guidelines were fairly non-existent and you could do a no documentation, no income, no asset loan. You just walk in and say, hey, here's how much money I make. Here's some cash and let's go get 102% financed deal on a piece of real estate. And then refinance it 6 months later, take my equity out and go buy 2 more houses. Well, I don't think we're at that point, of course, but we have seen the return of the 97% mortgage, which is great for first-time home buyers. We have talked about first-time home buyers ad nauseum in 2014 and how they really are a truly important factor in our market. And because of the student debt that they carry and because of their inability to get a good paying job when they compete against people that have had to maybe take a demotion in order to maintain and keep their job, it's really hard for first-time home buyers to get that high-paying job that they hope to get right out of college. So what are they doing? They're going back to school. Well, when they go back to school, they take on more debt, which is why we have, I think it's something crazy, like a little over $1 trillion worth of student debt. That number might not be right, but I think as of maybe 7 or 8 years ago, we had $200 billion, and now we've got a considerable amount more than that. But anyways, first-time home buyers, really are going to benefit from this 97% mortgage financing program. Another thing that I'm really encouraged about right now is housing starts. Home building is expected to ramp up again in 2015, and they're projected to rise by about 20% from 2014. So that will help home sales, and it'll help the total sales climb by about 5%, I think is the projection. But that's what's going to provide us with that inventory. New construction has been lagging in 2013 and in parts of 2014. But as that inventory ramps up, and as first-time home buyers can benefit from only putting 3% down and having a builder pay their closing costs, if they buy a $150,000 house, then that's only $4,500 that they have to come up with. That's an attainable goal in order to own a house. You think about going and renting somewhere, you have to put down $1,500, maybe $3,000 a month when you have first and last month's rent that you have to put down. So I think that it's an encouraging thing to see lenders loosening their credit guidelines and the amount by which buyers have to come to the table with a down payment. It's going to help us. I just want to be careful in that I'm hopeful that our market doesn't get back to the days of 100% financing. I don't think we will. I don't think that's going to happen. I think we learned our lesson with that one. But it's just interesting to see how financing is starting to loose up a little bit. And then the last thing that I would say is that the deals out there, the properties that you buy as investment properties to flip or to hold on to as rentals are becoming incredibly hard to find because of the amount of investors out there. You have the institutional investors, the companies like American Homes for Rent that have 500, 600 properties here in the Low Country. And then you have on the other end of the spectrum, the kind of wannabe investor that has some money, but they don't understand what they're doing and they overpay for property and it doesn't work out for them. They're coachable and if they align themselves with a real estate agent that does know what they're doing, then they can find those good deals. But the good deals are harder to find because of the number of investors, which means that when you find one of those really good deals and you actually have the ability to buy it, man, it's a sweet, sweet thing because we're in a seller's market. And if you can find those really good deals, you have instant equity and you have a market that's appreciating. So it's a really good time to go out there and be very specific in what you're looking for. And if you can find a good deal, you better snatch it up because the next guy is going to be there in an hour from you and they're going to buy it. So there's just some insight into what's going on this time of year. I think it's a very exciting time of year to be selling real estate, certainly different from the peak of spring and summer months. But overall, if you're thinking about buying or selling real estate, there's a lot of good stuff going on out there. So if you'd like to contact me, if you're considering doing something, give me a buzz. 843-345-1273 is my cell phone. Go to my website, listingsincharleston.com. Contact me that way. And again, I'm in the studio, so if you have some questions you'd like to give me a call on, give me a call. 843-556-1250 is the number here in the studio. 556-1250. We're going to take another break. This is the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show. We'll be right back.
Hear the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show every Saturday morning at 8 on 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com. 1250 WTMA. Now, the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show continues on Charleston's Big Talker, 1250 WTMA.
Welcome back, Charleston. This is the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show. Thanks so much for tuning in. And I appreciate you being up early on a rainy Saturday morning to listen to me talk about real estate. And this is the part of the show where I always just like to say thank you. You know, it's been an incredible past 2 years that I've been doing this show. And it's been really cool for me to come in here week by week and talk with you about what's going on in the market and give you some what I hope to be reliable information, which a lot of you have said, hey, we appreciate the information and the insight that you provide about real estate to us. And it's been really cool to represent people that need to buy or sell or invest in real estate. And the transaction goes smoothly. And it's just, for me, I like to say thank you for trusting me to be on the air with you and tell you what I think is important about real estate. And then trust me with your business. And so if there's anything that I can do for you, whether it's just a general knowledge question or if you're looking at buying, selling, or investing in real estate, feel free to contact me. My website is listingsincharleston.com, where you can take a look at what I have for sale, search the MLS, see what I've sold. You can learn more about my 59-day home sale guarantee by clicking on the Sell Your Home tab, which simply states I'll sell your home in less than 2 months, or I'll sell it for half my commission, 4.5% commission. Not a bad deal. So thank you very much for allowing me the opportunity to share with you what I am very passionate about, which is real estate. So this is, I tend to talk about this toward the end of every year because this is the time of the year where December 31st is a really big day for sellers and for real estate agents. And the reason why is because most listing agreements between the seller and a realtor expire on December 31st. So if you've been on the market, you've been trying to sell your house for the past 3, 6, 9, 12 months or more, you likely have an agreement with that realtor that expires at the end of the year. It's just kind of human nature. That's how we write our agreements for whatever reason. And so if you look at the number of properties that come off the market on December 31st, last year we had about 120 homes that just, boom, came off the market. In 2012, it was closer to 150. I don't think it's going to be quite 120 properties this year because we have less inventory in general. But think about that for a second. We've had such a great year in 2014. We had such a great year in 2013 that I really do sympathize with the people that have had their house on the market and they hear all this great news and they hear stories from their friends and family and whomever else that, we put our house on the market and we sold it in a week and blah, blah, blah. And here they are, and they've been on the market for several months, and they're just not getting the activity that they need, and their home hasn't sold. It's frustrating. I understand that. And so, excuse me, what normally happens is December 31st is a big day for the agents and the sellers, but January 1st is also a big day for real estate agents because that's when they pick up the phone. It's the first day of the year. They're excited about 2015, and then boom, what do they see? They log into the MLS, and they see a list of over 100 sellers that they can call and say, hey, I noticed your home has come off the market, and I can sell your house, so list your house with me. You look at the fact that our market this year has had more real estate agents than in several years past. January 1st, you might as well just disconnect your phone because you are going to receive hundreds of phone calls. I'm not kidding. You're going to get probably dozens. I would say at least 50 phone calls if your house is on the market and it expires on December 31st. And it's just the way it is. It's just real estate agents are happy. They're excited. It's January 1st, first day of the year. I'm going to call all these expired and withdrawn listings. Now, if you're a seller, that's going to just add to your frustration because here you are. You've had your house on the market for 6 months. It's been such a great market. Everything is selling. They're selling in a week. And then you've got all these real estate agents that are going to tell you, well, hey, I can sell your house in a week. And blah, blah, blah. And I've got buyers. And can I come and see your house? I might have a buyer for your home. The purpose of this program is to try and cut through the buzz and, frankly, some of the BS so that when somebody calls, you know the right questions to ask, or you already have lined up your decision. You've basically got three choices. If you have your house on the market right now and it's going to come off at the end of the year, you have three choices. You can either choose, well, I guess four. You can either choose to stay with the same real estate agent, and if you do that, you should ask yourself and that real estate agent, what are they going to do differently to produce a different result? You can choose not to sell your house, and for a lot of people, that's just simply not an option. You can choose to sell your house on your own as a for sale by owner, and I've talked about that a lot this year, and for some of you, you'll have the ability to do it. You'll have the wherewithal to put your house on the market and sell it yourself, but you're going to have to be your own real estate agent, and that comes with a lot of baggage. There's a lot of stuff that happens behind the scenes for us as real estate agents when we represent sellers, and you need to have a very clear understanding of how to negotiate, what the true value of your home is, and you need to protect yourself contractually, and if you don't, you need to hire someone that can help you with that. And then the fourth option would be to hire a new real estate agent. And so if you're going to go that route and hire a new real estate agent, there are some things that you need to ask them so that you don't have the same result. You know, what I sell, maybe 60, 70% of the listings that I sell were previously listed with another real estate agent. And almost every single time I sit down with those homeowners, it's the same story. It's not difficult for real estate agents like me that sell a lot of real estate to go into a situation and kind of diffuse the problem. The problem, first and foremost, no matter what, is communication and feedback. Agents are just, I don't really want to say it this way, but they're kind of giving up. They're giving up on the process. They go and they make this great sales pitch, and they talk about how many homes they've sold, and they talk about how big their company is, and this, that, and the other. And then at some point down the road, they realize, man, this isn't going to be as quick of a sale as I thought it was going to be. And then as the homeowner, you notice that, well, I haven't heard from him in 2 weeks. I haven't heard from him in 3 weeks. I haven't heard from him in a month. What's going on? You know, what's going on with my house? Why hasn't my house sold? And for a lot of sellers out there, they want that information, good, bad, or indifferent. They just want to hear from their listing agent. And most listing agents are terrible at communication. If they're not bad at communication, then there's something else going on there more than likely that's causing that home not to get the exposure it deserves to sell. What we're going to talk about next is marketing. I'm going to go into all that at the latter portion of this show, but you know, for the real estate agents that take the listings and then just fall out of touch with the sellers, it's because they thought they could put their house on the MLS and do an initial blast of marketing and phone calls and have it sold, and if they don't sell it, they don't really know what else to do other than drop the price. So it's really important when you sit down and you talk with these new real estate agents that you ask some questions that have some teeth to it. What is the average amount of time that you sell homes in? What's your strategy if we're on the market for 60 days or more? If we fall in the realm where we've kind of exhausted that group of ready, willing, and able buyers that are more than likely going to come and see your house in the first 60 days, what do we do after that? What's the plan? What's your plan? How many homes have you sold in 2014? How long did it take you to sell? What was the difference between the list price and the sales price? What makes you think you're a better agent and that you can get this job done for me? There's a lot of questions you need to ask, and you as a seller, you can't be afraid to ask the difficult questions because you're going to wind up in a weak moment with a weak agent, and you're going to get the same exact results. So when we come back, I'm going to take this conversation a little bit further. We're going to talk about marketing versus advertising versus prospecting, which is most important in selling a house, especially for those homes that have been on the market that haven't sold. Again, I'm in the studio, 843-556-1250. That's the number here. If you'd like to reach me personally, go to listingsincharleston.com. This is the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show. I'll be right back.
More stimulating talk on real estate matters with Brian Beatty next on 1250 WTMA. Expert news and views on the Lowcountry real estate scene. The Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on 1250 WTMA.
Welcome back, Charleston. This is the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show here on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA. Last few minutes of the hour, we are here in the studio. If you'd like to call in, you have any questions, comments, concerns about real estate, happy to talk with you about it. The number here, 843-556-1250. Again, if you're considering buying, selling, or investing in real estate in 2015 and you're not working with a real estate agent, feel free to contact me directly. I would love the opportunity to earn your business. My number, my cell phone, is 843-345-1273. And the best way and easiest way to contact me is probably just through my website, listingsincharleston.com, because that's what allows you to do a little bit of research on, what I'm all about, my level of experience. If you're thinking about selling your house, which is what we're going to talk about now, click on the Sell Your Home tab. You can learn a little bit more about what I do to market my properties for sale. You can see a long list of properties that I sold this year that other real estate agents had that did not sell, and my results in comparison to that. And then if you're considering selling, click on that Sell Your Home tab. You can learn more about my 59-day home sale guarantee. It's essentially, I will sell your home in less than 2 months, or I'll sell it for half my commission, 4.5% commission. So listingsincharleston.com is the website for that. So before we took a break, we were talking about all of the expired and withdrawn listings that will likely take place, that will take place at the end of this year, December 31st. And for a lot of you, you've had your house on the market and you've tried selling and it just hasn't worked for some reason. And so you ask yourself, why hasn't my home sold? When I hear all these great success stories about 2014 and people selling their home in a week for their full asking price, and that has certainly happened a lot this year, more so than I would say the past 7 years. It's just been a fantastic year in real estate. So if you have a home to sell and it hasn't sold, you need to ask yourself a few questions. What can I do differently, I being the seller? What can my agent do differently? Are my expectations realistic? What's my house actually worth? Can we all agree for a second that if my house is worth $100,000 and I list it for $100,000, that it has a pretty good chance of selling in a reasonable amount of time in a seller's market? That sounds logical, right? Right. Well, if you've had your house on the market for 6 months or more, I'm going to venture a guess and say that there's likely something going on with regard to the value of your house in comparison to where you have it listed. Every buyer that sees your house, whether they see it online or in person or on the MLS or wherever, they're going to look at your house and immediately they are going to judge the value of your house. That has a lot to do with the way your house is being marketed. So if you've been on the market take a look at your listing. If you've ever said to yourself, gosh, our house could look better online, and our real estate agent, he's a nice guy, and I know he's busy, and he works hard, and it's the end of the year, and I'm not gonna go there. I think it's fine. It's probably okay. If you've ever had that thought, that's totally not okay. Pictures are worth 1,000 words. Pictures are so incredibly important. I've said this time and time again over the years that I've been in real estate, that the first perception that people have of your home has to have a wow factor. That's why I use professional photography with my homes. It creates that wow factor. And it doesn't matter if your house is a $100,000 house or a $5 million house. Professional photography will set your home apart because most real estate agents aren't willing to pay for it. And that's why most listings don't have it. So for the ones that do have it, and it's not that expensive, but for the listings that have professional photography, they're already a cut above the rest. They look better. They look more attractive. Photography, it sounds so simple, but if you look at all the homes that come off the market at the end of the year or throughout the year, the majority of the time, they're just not being marketed that well. And so what is marketing? What is advertising? What is prospecting? I would venture guess and say that if sellers were surveyed, that the majority of them would say that real estate agents have a pretty easy life. Their job is pretty easy. They put their house on the MLS, they do some marketing, whatever that is, and then they sell the house and they get this big fat commission check. And I'd also be willing to venture a guess that if real estate agents were surveyed, they would say that sellers have no idea how hard it is to sell real estate. It can be easy if you have the right systems and people and processes in place and you're a disciplined real estate agent that shows up to work every day. But for most real estate agents, especially the newer real estate agents or the agents that just don't sell a lot of real estate, they go and they make all these phone calls and they promise the world to their clients, whether it be the price or the marketing that they're going to do, and the seller agrees. And then the agent goes, oh man, now I've got a listing. What do I do? I guess I've got to do all this stuff I said I was going to do. And sometimes it doesn't work out. And I don't mean to poke fun at new real estate agents or agents that don't sell a lot of real estate. They deserve to sell as many homes as they want. But there are real estate agents out there that either knowingly or unknowingly overprice houses that affects the seller and their ability to sell their house. There's a deep amount of misinformation when it comes to marketing and advertising and what works and what doesn't work. And most real estate agents, quite frankly, don't do the marketing at all. They rely on what their company provides them with. Well, guess what? Newsflash, most real estate companies do the exact same thing. Anytime you list with any real estate agent, they're going to put your house in the MLS. As soon as your house goes in the MLS, it then goes on every single real estate agent's website and every single real estate company's website. So if a real estate agent's in your house and they're saying, well, your house is going to go on our website and our website is a cut above the rest, well, guess what? Your house is on every single website, every single real estate company, every single real estate agent. It goes on some of the big websites too, like Zillow and Trulia and sometimes Realtor.com. And I'm not going to go off on that rant because if you've heard my show before, you know how important it is to do all of that stuff correctly. But the point I'm trying to make is this. There is a big, big difference between real estate agents that truly understand marketing and advertising and then the agents that say they understand marketing and advertising and rely on what their company provides them with to market their homes for sale. There is a difference between top agents with a real marketing plan that they pay for versus the agents that just put your home on the MLS and rely on their company's size or reputation. There is a difference. And so if you're one of those sellers that's looking to sell your house in 2015, I would love to have a conversation with you to see if there's anything that I can do differently to create some different results. So if you'd like to contact me about that, my website is listingsincharleston.com. That's where you can go to learn more about my 59-day home sale guarantee at 4.5% commission. You can learn more about what I do to market my homes for sale. You can read testimonials from past clients, or you can call me directly. My cell phone is 843-345-1273. Have a great weekend. Thanks again for tuning in, and I'll catch you next time. This is the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show here on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA.
Join us for another edition of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show next Saturday morning from 8 till 9. Contact Brian Beatty online at listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. Or call him at 843-345-1273. 843-345-1273.